you are struggling with intrusive thoughts about your partner's past, or you have questions about their values, maybe their values based on decisions that they made in the past, it's very likely at one time or another you've asked yourself if it's time to break up with your partner. In today's video, I'm going to share 4 thoughts or 4 questions for anyone who's considering breaking up with their partner because of retroactive jealousy. My name is Zachary Stockill, and since 2013, I've helped thousands of men and women from all over the world overcome retroactive jealousy and save their relationships. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, or you'd like more information about my work, please visit my website at retroactivejealousy.com. For the people here for the first time, the term retroactive jealousy refers to unwanted intrusive thoughts, often obsessive curiosity, and sometimes what I like to call mental movies about your partner's past relationships and or sexual history. And one of the big myths out there is that I think sometimes people misinterpret me or misinterpret my work. They think that I say that retroactive jealousy is always 100% irrational. That is, that retroactive jealousy is always based on nothing that the retroactive jealousy sufferer should actually be concerned about. And of course, as I never get tired of saying on this channel and elsewhere, that's not true. Sometimes retroactive jealousy is more or less what you might call rational. In other words, sometimes if you can't stop thinking about your partner's past, that's an indication that perhaps there's something deeply troubling actually going on there. There could actually be some serious issues in your partner's character. There could be some serious incompatibilities in the relationships. Maybe you and your partner don't share the same values. Those are all distinct possibilities. Now, it certainly isn't always the case, and I wouldn't say that describes the majority of cases that I work with personally in one-on-one coaching. But of course, sometimes retroactive jealousy is more or less rational. And sometimes breaking up is actually the right thing to do. However, as you probably guessed, it isn't always the right choice for a retroactive jealousy sufferer. In fact, it's usually not the right choice. But regardless, if you are struggling with retroactive jealousy and you're considering breaking up with your partner, you're considering ending the relationship because of retroactive jealousy or because of events in their past, here's 4 questions that I would pose to you. My first suggestion is for you to try something that I like to call the best friend exercise. What's the best friend exercise? Well, number 1, you have to think about your best friend, or imagine your best friend. Hopefully most people watching this have a best friend, someone you're thinking of immediately. But if you don't have a best friend, think of someone who you're very close to, maybe someone who you have a lot in common with, someone who shares a lot of your values, that kind of thing. Now that you have someone in mind, imagine that your best friend is going through the exact same experience that you're going through. So let's say they're in the same kind of relationship with the same kind of partner. Let's say their partner has the same kind of past. Let's say your friend is going through the same retroactive jealousy. He or she is having all the same feelings about their partner's past that you're having about your partner's past. Let's say, in essence, that your partner is in the same boat as you. And let's say your partner comes to you for guidance. Let's say your partner opens up about their relationship, opens up about their partner's past, opens up about all their complicated feelings about their partner's past. And let's say that they ask you for advice. Let's say they come to you and say, listen, what should I do with this situation? As you listen to the traffic driving by, hopefully it's not too loud in the video. But let's say they come to you for advice. What do you tell them? What is your advice? This person who you care about, this person who I would assume you have a lot in common with, you probably have a lot of the same philosophies about life, you probably have a lot of the same values. What is your advice for this person? What is your advice for your best friend going through the exact same scenario that you're going through now? Sometimes this can be very helpful in clarifying our own situation. Because when we think about our best friend, again, hopefully we have a lot in common with that person, we share a lot of the same outlooks, we have a lot of the same goals, and it can be helpful sometimes to kind of look at ourselves outside of ourselves. And I think this is a good way of doing that, of hopefully thinking about your situation with a little more clarity, with a little more perspective. So you can journal about this, you can meditate and then think about it, but think about the advice that you would give your best friend if your best friend was in the same situation that you're in. My second question, or my second tip, if you're considering leaving your relationship because of retroactive jealousy, is you can ask yourself, are you absolutely sure the grass will be greener on the other side? I share this because I think quite often in relationships, a lot of people like to fantasize about, if I only had the perfect relationship, or maybe they project all kinds of nonsense onto someone they have a little crush on outside of their relationship. Or maybe subconsciously you go on social media and you see someone oversharing about their relationship on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you think, wow, I wish I had a relationship like that. That kind of thing. It's very common nowadays in these strange times of social media that we live in. But the point is, ask yourself, am I sure the grass will be greener on the other side? Because the truth is, in these complicated, strange times that we live in, everyone, just about everyone you're going to date is going to have something of a past. It might be more colorful than your partner's, it might be less colorful than your partner's, but chances are overwhelming that they're going to have a past. And frequently, retroactive jealousy follows people into consecutive relationships until they put in the work to finally put it behind them for good. In other words, you might think that your challenge around your partner's past is unique to your partner and this relationship, when in fact, maybe you'd break up with your partner, enter a new relationship, and guess what? If you cared just as much about this person, retroactive jealousy would likely return. Now again, sometimes retroactive jealousy is more or less rational. Sometimes there are genuine red flags in the relationship. Sometimes it's time to move on. But before you make that decision, spend a lot of time thinking about this. Am I absolutely sure that the grass is going to be greener on the other side? In other words, am I absolutely sure, or at least 99% sure, that my troubles with my partner's past are a product of genuine incompatibilities? In other words, are you absolutely certain that your partner does not share your values? And are you sure that this retroactive jealousy problem isn't going to follow you into your next relationship? My next suggestion is another very important one. And my suggestion, or the question that I would suggest you ask yourself, if you're considering leaving your partner due to retroactive jealousy, is, are you willing to walk away and bear all of the consequences? This is so important. When I talk about all of the consequences, what I'm talking about is, I think a lot of people, in particular men, when they're thinking about breaking up with their girlfriend, in the back of their mind, they're still thinking, well, if I break up with her and then I later come to regret it, I can still get back together with her. She'll be waiting around for me, or, she's not going to move on right away. If things don't work out and I'm lonely or whatever, if I don't, if my next relationship isn't as good or whatever, I can always go back to my partner. And the truth is that rarely works out. Number one, I think when you break up with someone in a relationship, something sacred is broken there. The best comparison I've ever had, or the best analogy I've heard related to this, is they say a relationship is like a plate, right? You drop it once and it breaks, maybe you can glue it back together again, but it's never going to be the exact same. And obviously, if you drop it after that, to glue it again, drop it after, glue it again, you get my point. It gets messy, and pretty soon it's not a plate anymore, it's just a mess. Now, of course, you don't have to leave a comment. I realize that sometimes breaking up and getting back together works out really well for couples, and hooray for that. I think that's great. But I do think that represents the minority of cases. I think, in essence, when you break up with someone, that's a big deal, and chances are you're never going to put it back together again. And also remember that your partner is very likely to move on faster than you realize. That's just the way it goes. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but if you're breaking up with someone, you're kind of thinking, well, I can always get back together with them. Quite often, that's not the case. Quite often, when someone is rejected, they say to hell with you and they move on rather quickly. Not saying it's good or bad, it's just a fact. So as you consider making this decision about breaking up with your partner or staying with them, regardless of your decision, don't give yourself this little, get out of jail free card. Don't tell yourself that you can get back together with your partner later on, because unfortunately you may not be able to. And finally, my most important point, if you're considering breaking up with your partner due to retroactive jealousy, I think it's very important that you get crystal clear on whether or not this is a you problem or whether or not this is a them problem. Now, when I talk about a you problem, what I mean by that is basically, if you're in 3 different relationships with 3 different women or 3 different men at different points in your life, and you struggle with retroactive jealousy in each and every one of those relationships, well, guess what? That's probably a you problem. That's probably not something you can blame on your partner. That's probably not something you can blame on, not sharing the same values or anything. That's probably a you problem. On the other hand, if your current girlfriend or your current boyfriend has cheated on 3 of their past 4 partners, if your partner is in essence a serial cheater and that's the thing about their past that's eating you up, well, guess what? I would say that's not entirely irrational. In fact, that's pretty rational that you be somewhat wary about moving forward with that person. That's an example of what I would call a them problem. That's probably not a you problem. So you catch my drift. It's absolutely essential that you sort through this question. Is this retroactive jealousy that I'm experiencing, is this a me problem or is it a them problem? Now, if you'll permit me to do a shameless plug, last year I recorded an all-new video masterclass. It's called The Path to Peace. It features all kinds of videos, all kinds of exercises, all kinds of meditations that are unavailable in my other online courses. They're not available on this YouTube channel. And basically, I created The Path to Peace as a video masterclass for people struggling with this very question, for people wondering if their retroactive jealousy is rational or not, people wondering if they should leave their relationship as a result of retroactive jealousy. It's a lot cheaper than coaching. I made it a lot more affordable than one-on-one coaching, so anyone can have access to these tools, so anyone can have access to these perspectives. Many hundreds of people have already found the course very helpful. If you would like information on my all-new masterclass, The Path to Peace, that's going to help you make such an important decision, click the link in the description of this video. Beyond that, thank you for watching. Thanks for your time today. If you benefited from this video, please click the stupid like button. Leave a comment, because that tells the YouTube algorithm that I'm popular or helpful or something. It's helpful for my channel. Please also be sure you are subscribed to my channel to be notified of new videos moving forward. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.